Chris Pratt, I loved fantasy growing up. Actor Chris Pratt loved fantasy while growing up, adding that he loved the look of fantasy characters elves, dwarfs, massive ogres and wizards. He will soon be seen in the animated urban fantasy film, Onward. Pratt has voiced the character of Barley Lightfoot, the big brother to Tom Holland's Ian Lightfoot. The actor says he can also relate to Barley's love of fantasy. I loved fantasy growing up, he said, adding, I had a book on dwarf culture, their weapons and their societies. There were beautiful illustrations, and I was all about just drawing as a kid, so I loved to copy the drawings. I always loved the look of fantasy characters elves, dwarves, massive ogres and wizards. Onward is all set to release the film in India on March 6. Set in a suburban fantasy world, Onward introduces two teenage elf brothers who embark on an extraordinary quest to discover if there is still a little magic left out there. Talking about his role, he said, Barley is overbearing. And he tries a little too hard. He can be kind of a bumbling idiot, but he has got a good heart. Barley intercepts 8 human trafficking victims at NAIA Mactan. Bureau of Immigration, BI. Officers thwarted 3 more human trafficking attempts with their recent interception of 8 victims at the Manila and Cebu airports. Reports from the BI's Travel Control and Enforcement Unit, TCEU, disclosed that 5 of the victims were stopped at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, NAIA, while 3 others were intercepted at the Mactan Cebu International Airport, MCIA. According to BI spokesperson Dana Sandoval, the 5 female passengers intercepted at NAIA last February 13 and 16 were all bound for Bangkok, but they were supposed to proceed to Dubai, where they were illegally recruited to work as household service workers. They claimed that they were traveling to Thailand as tourists, but later admitted that their purpose in going abroad was to work. Sandoval said. She said they hid their visas and connecting flights from immigration authorities. Sandoval added that the trafficking attempts were foiled at the height of the implementation of the travel ban on passengers from China, Hong Kong, and Macau due to the coronavirus disease outbreak. In Cebu, 3 women were stopped from leaving last February 10 as they were about to board a flight to Japan. Sandoval said the passengers presented spurious documents purportedly showing that they are gainfully employed in the country. She said they claimed they were vacationing in Japan, and that their trip was sponsored by their employer, but their documents had discrepancies. The women were subjected to interviews and later confessed that their documents were merely given to them by their handler. They also claimed that each of them paid their recruiters P200,000 in exchange for facilitating their trip to Japan, where they intended to work. First meeting of Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust on February 19. Date for start of construction likely to be finalized. The first meeting of Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust is scheduled to be held in New Delhi on Wednesday, February 19, and it is expected that date for the beginning of the construction of Ram Temple would be finalized during the meeting. Sources confirmed Zee Media that the crucial meeting will begin around 5 p.m. at the residence of K. Parasuran, who is the first member of the trust. All members of the trust have already arrived in Delhi for the deliberations. Mahant Nrithya Gopal Das, the head of the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas and the most respected seer in Ayodhya, has also been invited for the meeting. 2 prominent people, who shall be practicing Hindus, LD also be nominated by the Board of Trustees during the meeting. Swami Vasudevanand Saraswati, who is also a member of the trust, had earlier said that the members will also discuss the inclusion of Ram Mandir Nyas chief Mahant Nrithya Gopal Das in the trust. A bank account will also be opened in the name of the trust for accepting donations for the construction of Ram Temple will be accepted. Speaking in Lok Sabha, PM Modi had announced the setting up of an independent trust to finalize the details for the construction of a Ram Temple in Uttar Pradesh, Ayodhya. Sources asserted that the trust will comprise a total of 15 members, 9 permanent and 6 nominated members. The body, to be called Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust, has been formed as per the directions of the Supreme Court, pointed out the Prime Minister in the Lok Sabha. K. Parasuran was appointed as the first member of the trust and Ayodhya District Magistrate, DM, Anuj Kumar Jha was named the convening member. The 7 other permanent members of the trust are Shankaracharya Vasudevanand Maharaj, Permanand Ji Maharaja Haridwar, Swami Govind Giriji Pune, Vimlendra Mohan Pratap Mishra, Dr. Anil Mishra Homeopathic Ayodhya, Dr. Kamleshwar Chopal Patna, and Mahant Dinidra Das Nirmohi Akra. The 6 nominated members will be selected by the Board of Trustees in due course of time. Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust likely to choose 2 members today, April 4th proposed date to start temple construction. In the first meeting of the Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust in New Delhi today, February 19th, the decision to select 2 members will be taken today. The trust will decide to include Mahant Nritya Gopal Das and Champat Rai today. Before the meeting of Ram Mandir Trust, General Secretary of All India Sant Samiti Swami Jikendranand Saraswati said in a conversation with Zee News that the saints want that the construction of Ram Temple should start from April 4th. It was also one of their demands that Mahant Nritya Gopal Das and Champat Rai be included. There should be no bottleneck in the construction of Ram Temple now, he said. Mahant Nritya Gopal Das is likely to hand over all the work done by Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas Samiti to the Tirth Kshetra Trust. Also, Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas Committee will hand over the model of the Ram Temple to the trust. The Ram Mandir Trust will get possession of 70% of the carved stones. The crucial meeting will begin around 5 p.m. today at the residence of K. Parasran, who is the first member of the trust. All members of the trust have already arrived in Delhi for the deliberations. K. Parasran was appointed as the first member of the trust and Ayodhya District Magistrate, DM, Anuj Kumar Jha was named the convening member. The 7 other permanent members of the trust are Shankaracharya Vasudevanand Maharaj, Permanand Ji Maharaja Haridwar, Swami Govind Giriji Pune, Vimlendra Mohan Pratap Mishra, Dr. Anil Mishra Homeopathic Ayodhya, Dr. Kamleshwar Chopal Patna, and Mahant Dinidra Das Nirmohi Akra. The 6 nominated members will be selected by the Board of Trustees in due course of time. Sources asserted that the trust will comprise a total of 15 members, 9 permanent and 6 nominated members. Charcoal Confessions, Nancy Binay Penn's book on cyberbullying. Senator Nancy Binay's book, Charcoal Confessions, 46 Homebrewed Tips vs. Online Bullying, features advice on how to deal with cyberbullies based on her own experience with bashers. Truth be told, social media has negatively impacted today's generation. It has become more of an obsession rather than a way to help build relationships and encourage communication, Binay told ABS-CBN News. She added that she wrote her book to detail her experience with cyberbullying and how she maintained a positive attitude that helped her journey toward healing. On Monday, Binay had her book signing in the Big Bad Wolf at the World Trade Center in Pasai City. Published by ABS-CBN Books, Charcoal Confessions is now available in leading bookstores nationwide. Coronavirus, death toll in China reaches 2,000 as new cases in Hubei fall for second day. New coronavirus cases in the Chinese province at the epicenter of the outbreak fell for a second straight day, but deaths rose after the World Health Organization had cautioned there was not yet enough data to know if the epidemic had slowed. Hubei reported 1,693 new cases as of Tuesday, down from 1,807 the previous day and the lowest number in the province since February 11. But deaths rose by 132, up from 93 the previous day. The latest figures bring the total number of cases in China to over 74,000 with about 2,000 deaths. The head of a leading hospital in China's central city of Wuhan, where the virus is believed to have originated, died of the disease, becoming one of the most prominent victims since the novel virus first appeared at the end of last year. Illustrating the impact of the outbreak on worldwide growth and corporate profits, oil prices tumbled and equity markets slid after Apple Inc. issued a revenue warning due to the disruption the disease is causing to global supply chains. World Health Organization, WHO, Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said Chinese data appears to show a decline in new cases, but any apparent trend must be interpreted very cautiously. Outside China, there have been 827 cases of the disease, known as COVID-19, and 5 deaths, according to a Reuters count based on official statements. More than half of those cases have been on a cruise ship quarantined off Japan. Tedros said there had been 92 cases of human-to-human spread of the coronavirus in 12 countries outside China. We have not seen sustained local transmission of coronavirus except in specific circumstances like the Diamond Princess cruise ship, he said. Russia, however, was taking no chances. Starting on Thursday, it will suspend entry of many Chinese citizens. By the end of this week, the WHO said, 40 countries in Africa and 29 in the Americas are due to have the ability to detect COVID-19. Many of these countries have been sending samples to other countries for testing, waiting several days for results. Now they can do it themselves within 24 to 48 hours, Tedros said. China says figures indicating a slowdown in new cases in recent days show that aggressive steps it has taken to curb travel and commerce are slowing the spread of the disease beyond central Hubei province and its capital, Wuhan. The WHO's Mike Ryan said China had success with putting out the fire, first in Hubei, and ensuring that people returning to Beijing from the Lunar New Year holiday are monitored. Right now, the strategic and tactical approach in China is the correct one, Ryan said. The numbers appear encouraging, said Mark Woolhouse, a professor of infectious disease epidemiology at Britain's University of Edinburgh, who described himself as cautious. Chinese state television said Liu Zhiming, the director of Wuhan Wuchang Hospital, died on Tuesday, the seventh health worker to fall victim. The hospital was designated solely for treating virus-infected patients. Global repercussions. Despite global concerns about the economic impact of the disease, China's ambassador to the European Union said on Tuesday this would be limited, short-term and manageable, and that Beijing had enough resources to step in if needed. Chinese state television quoted President Xi Jinping as saying China could still meet its economic growth target for 2020 despite the epidemic. Economists are warning of potential mass layoffs in China later this year if the virus is not contained soon. The employment situation is okay in the first quarter, but if the virus is not contained by end March, then from the second quarter, we'll see a big round of layoffs, said Dan Wang, an analyst with the Economist Intelligence Unit, EIU. Job losses could run as high as 4.5 million, he forecast. Britain's biggest car maker, Jaguar Land Rover, has flown Chinese parts in suitcases to Britain to maintain production and could run out after 2 weeks because of the coronavirus. Components made in China are used in millions of vehicles assembled around the world, and Hubei province is a major hub for vehicle parts production and shipments. South Korean President Moon Jae-in said the economy there was in an emergency situation and required stimulus as the epidemic had disrupted demand for South Korean goods. Singapore announced a $4.5 billion financial package to help contain the outbreak in the city-state and weather its economic impact. Japan, where the economy was already shrinking and the epidemic has created fears of recession, the spread of the virus has prompted Tokyo to put limits on public crowds while some companies are telling employees to work from home.